a life coach, and I am the founder of Look Into Your Life, which is a coaching service for Black women who might be feeling stressed, stuck, and burnt out, and need some help with embracing themselves and prioritizing their needs and their well-being. My background is in clinical social work, and it is trauma focused.
All right. Next.
All right, I'll jump in. Hi, everybody. My name's Courtney Franklin. I am a social worker from Philadelphia. I've been in the social work field for about 15 years. And it's been primarily medical and clinical social work. Right now, I am doing clinical social work for an insurance company in Philadelphia. And I am the founder of Social Worker to CEO. It's a program and a coaching company where I help social workers transition into coaching and consulting practices. And thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Glad you're here. Next.
Awesome. I can go next. So my name is Dani as well, and I have my bachelor's and master's in social work. I have a background in child welfare, in adoptions, in youth and family therapy. And I am also in a doula training program, so soon to be a doula. I'm very honored to be a part of this panel, and I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Angela?
Oh, hi. Hi, everybody. My name's Angela Kanu. I'm a social worker originally from London, and I've been a social worker for coming close to 30 years, working primarily in adult mental health. And then I spent 2 decades working in children and families. So right from adoption to policy to government work. And at the moment, I am an emotional well-being coach. So wanting to use all of my social work skills to kind of help people understand their emotional literacy and landscapes. And I'm currently working as a emotional well-being coach. And really, I am about helping particularly Black women around understanding the impacts of trauma, what that does to our life story, and also when we want to make major life transitions, what are some of the things in our story that may be, impacting us as a background operating system. I also work with Black women who are wanting to move abroad and really working around the emotional journey, because we can all do Airbnb and we can all book flights, but it's what happens when you get there. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thank you. You want to go, Marissa?
Yeah, I realized I did not introduce myself. Yes, I am Marissa Price. I am a social worker, also founder of Free Black Woman Virtual Solutions, assisting Black women digital entrepreneurs with creating and building online businesses, doing technical assistance and stuff like that. And yeah, also co-hosted a workshop with Angela on healing from childhood attachment wounds. So kind of tapping back into my social work skill set as I heal from a toxic job experience. So yeah, glad to be here, and thank y'all so much for being here too. Yes.
Yes, awesome. Thank you for introducing yourselves. And last but not least, I am Dani, also known as Natural LID. I am a social worker of 20 plus years working with individuals and families in the government sector, right? It has been a privilege and a challenge, and I'm, still doing it. But Courtney's laughing. She understands what I'm talking about, right? And I have taken what I've learned as a social worker, right? And being an aromatherapist, because I am a certified aromatherapist, and I've married the two, and I have a YouTube channel, Natural LID here, where I'm married to the two passions that I have to help people with their overall quality of life and well-being. So I thank you all again for being here. And our audience, thank you all. I think we have some people in the chat. I don't know, a child free with Mimi. Thank you, Deshaun Burns. Thank you for being here in our Fayette Highlands.
Yeah.
pardon if I mispronounce your name, and Lola Sunshine. Thank you for being here, ladies. We appreciate you. So we're going to get started. I'm going to hand it off to you, Marissa.
Yeah, so I'd love to know for the first official question, what motivated you all to pursue entrepreneurship as a social worker? And I guess I can get started. Just kind of building off what I just shared, being in a toxic job. That was kind of the motivation for me to have to pursue entrepreneurship because I wasn't ready to enter another job experience, although I did, and it was toxic again, which kind of speaks to like the systemic issues within the field of social work and economic development, which is the part of the field that I was in. But kind of feeling called to create something that was not toxic and that allowed me to use my skill set of economic development, community building, and also technical assistance and kind of incorporate all of those, creating like a really stress-free, that's what I try to create my business as, laid back, a place where you can ask questions. That's kind of one of the values of the community that I created, just sharing knowledge and resources. So yeah, that's why it kind of led me to pursue entrepreneurship, but I would love to hear from y'all. What led you down that path?
Yeah. So jump right in.
I can go next. Yeah, so for me, when I think about entrepreneurship, I think about the phrase each one teach one. And entrepreneurship is an amazing way to utilize leadership skills and spread resources and knowledge, right? So when I think about like what Marissa said, toxic workplaces and jobs, I've experienced that as well. And if anything, I've learned to use those experiences as like my fuel to build my own, right? So I think about if we don't like what's going on, build your own, right? Instead of waiting around for someone else to do it for us, how about we utilize our resources and each other within our community to create something that's for us, by us. So that's what I think about with entrepreneurship. And with my doula training, I, like Dani, would love to marry those passions of collecting resources and making people, professionals, access to different, even organizations, accessible to our community, right? When we think about wellness, sometimes basic needs comes to mind, but what about things that make us feel good? What about things that allow us to connect with self? I think all of that is what a social worker is able to do. And yeah, that's what I think about when I think of entrepreneurship and my goals.
Awesome. Beautiful. I think about social work, just what you said, Dani, sharing wisdom. That's what social work would mean to me. You learn and you share wisdom. All righty. Next.
And I can jump in. And when I think, I have to agree with what Marissa was saying about creating your own environments, because, for a lot of social workers, we're working in these toxic environments and it's already a tough job. So I think what led me into entrepreneurship is just the idea that we can create our own spaces where, we're using our own understanding of the people that we work with and just our own needs. We're having we're able to prioritize those in our own spaces. And I think that's really important because agencies really, it may not be a priority for them, but we can create our own spaces where we recognize, using our own social work experience and our knowledge, we can, create workplaces that are able to make just the environment much less toxic, much less toxic,
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I resonate with that, Courtney, for sure. Working in an environment where you're just like, oh my goodness, how can I bring some light?
Yes. And then you realize one day that the light is just not going to come. So you have to create your own.
I mean, I would certainly say that my journey into owning a business and entrepreneurship came through burnout. Actually, because I had missed the memo when I actually needed to leave. So 30 years of working with people is a really long time. And so for me, I needed time and space to kind of recollect myself because in our professions we give a lot, and not just in terms of advice and wisdom, but we also give some of ourselves away, some of our emotional resources and our wells, we give that away. And I think I'd missed the fact that I wasn't replenishing as quick as I was giving, that stuff away. And so I got to burn. I felt that I couldn't proceed any longer. I was like, I actually need to stop. And so the journey of getting to entrepreneurship came through, well, I need money. I have this important skill that is noble and valuable, but how can I make it work for me? I no longer wanted to grind. I no longer wanted to really hear these horrific stories, because obviously I worked in adult mental health and children and their families. And so some of it was quite not, it was a parallel universe, let's just say that. And so getting to entrepreneurship was about how could I create something that could, could also enable me to utilize my skills, as well as not be so hard on myself and not allow the systems around me to, I would say, allow me to abandon myself. And that's what I would say.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess I can go since I'm last. So just piggybacking off of what everybody else has said, the toxic work environment, like my previous position prior to going into entrepreneurship, wasn't the best experience. And I think a theme for me was like just having the freedom to serve people how I wanted to, and like run a business how I would like for it to be ran, and not having to answer to like those harmful or toxic workplaces that sometimes social workers are very subjected to. And entrepreneurship was not something that was on the horizon for me. It kind of just happened to be that way. But I'm just grateful for where I'm at right now. And I guess in a way I can thank like that previous experience, because I don't think I would have like ended up where I am now.
Right. Yeah. Your experiences lead you to where you are now,
Mhm.
Absolutely. And just to add to all of that, honestly, and you ladies can probably relate. When you first got into social work, did you think you were going to be Susie social worker? Right? You got your degree.
Yes.
You got that degree in hand, right? And you're going to do the thing. You are going to be that Susie social. You're going to be different. You're going to be dynamic.
Change the world.
Exactly. You're going to change the world. And then you get in there. You
Oh my
pull out
gosh.
your sleeves.
A reality check.
You get in there and you just like, oh, yeah.
What is this? Yes.
Angela talked about that transference, baby. That counter transference, as we call it in the social work field, where you're picking up the emotions of the people that you're serving, right? And that self-care that might not happen while you're doing that. Or you have to remind yourself to do that, right? And it came to me that thinking I was going to be this Susie social worker, and then after so many years of experience, like I said early on, I have 20 plus years, I realized, okay, not even then, but prior to, what can I do to make me, my life easier and those that I serve, right? Because social work is a calling. It is a true calling. You don't wake up one day and say, oh, I want to be a social worker. Anybody who's out there, who's serving, who's done this, it is a calling, because you're dealing with people and energies, right?
Yeah.
So, having said that, I realized I want to show up and be my best self and help my families. And that's what I tried to do. What else could I give them that would be of benefit outside of this system, outside of these procedures that they say we got to follow, outside of this textbook stuff that you learn in school that don't apply to nothing what you're doing? It just
Dani, yes.
when you sit in front of somebody, you ain't pulling out that textbook and say, what theory is this? How am I going to apply it, right? So having said that, I decided, okay, what can I do? So I started combing through the idea of providing my families with resources, creating a digital book to help families navigate this system that we're in, so they're not all stressed and have the anxiety right? And then I pivoted, and this course chose me. I mean, had I started a YouTube channel two years ago, and then moved into thinking, okay, what else can I offer the families that I serve? I said, okay, I'm a certified aromatherapist. I love that. That has helped me to wake up every day and do the things that I do, and have that self-care to do it every day and continue to do it. So, and that's where that entrepreneurial thought came in. Oh, okay, I have a YouTube channel. I'm comfortable with talking, comfortable, I feel like, with teaching. It's an ongoing progress and nothing perfected here, y'all. Okay.
Same here.
And that's what sparked me to started teaching about aromatherapy, right? First in my community, and then I decided to do it as an online practice. So I'm saying that all to say it was a number of steps that got me to this point to say this was possible, saw the need, saw where I can plug in a solution, right? And do what I do best, which I think is sharing wisdom, like I say, is social work and showing up for people. So that's how what motivated me and got me to this space. And some days, y'all, I don't know about y'all, be like, how in the world did I get here? But realize I'm like, oh, that happened, and then this happened, and this happened, and here I am, you know. Oh goodness.
Yeah. Right. And Dani, you touched on something, like a lot of us have these gifts, right, of being energy healers, of being able to hold space for other people, which is very special. So we're kind of drawn to this field, and then we meet these obstacles in these institutions that see us as a threat, right? When we push back against something in line with our training, in line with the code of ethics that we're supposed to follow in the US, the NASW code of ethics. So we run into these roadblocks, right? And it leads a lot of us to have to start our own business, to still use our skill set and not have to encounter these day after day, which are draining our energy, which is supposed to be used to help people heal. That's our gift.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And
Very well
finding bureaucratic systems that can be draining.
Yeah.
When you're trying to do it, by yourself, and nobody in your immediate circle, at least where you serve, is thinking the same way. Everybody's just going along status quo. Business as usual. It's like, do you not see how crazy this is? Do you know that there is something better, not only for the people that we serve, and that's my passion in that as well. There is something better for the people that we serve.
Yeah.
That's my love. There's something better, and I'm going to show you how it's possible. So yeah. So thank you, ladies, for sharing. So we're moving on to our next question. How have your experiences as a Black woman in the social work field influenced your entrepreneurial journey? We talked about entrepreneurship, but how has being a Black woman added to that? Anybody?
I can start off. I will say, like, I experienced the phenomenon that I learned on Dr. Kamani's channel, Lifting as We Climb Consulting, developed by 3 Black women researchers, from pet to threat. I experienced that in my first job out of graduate school in social work. So that really prompted me to start my own business, right? It was the phenomenon that a lot of us experience, unfortunately. Come in with all this knowledge, experience, expertise that we're hired for, and then all of a sudden we're viewed as a threat in the workplace and they try to take us down. So yeah, that kind of prompted my whole journey into entrepreneurship.
I've had similar experiences. You're working in corporate environments, and people don't necessarily. It's funny how people, they recognize the need for social work services, but at the same time the field is just kind of just not. It's like they know that we do something, and that there's the people that they can send to the social worker to get the needs that they have met, but at the same time the field isn't as respected or seen as it's not, in some instances it's just not as respected as other fields. So I definitely
True.
experienced that
Mhm.
in the corporate environments that I worked in, and when I was in grad school, telling people that I was, going to get my master's in social work, and they're like, "What? Why don't you go get an MBA?" And it's just like,
Yeah. Ooh, that's
okay, no, no. I actually had people tell me that, and it just was like, well, no, I want to do this, and also to kind of get rid of this idea that social workers are all broke, and that it's just a field that is just a dead end field. And we help people so much, and it's just important to me that the field just gets the respect that it deserves. So that's part of the reason why I came into it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I went from London to the middle of rural Australia. So they're thinking, this black woman, who the hell does she think she is? And I was really passionate about making sure that kids really got what they need, because the decisions that we make change the trajectory of their lives and the lives of their families. And so I would get into these big battles, not a bit of battles, and some of it was because of what I looked like. And some of it was because I was really determined that the voice of these children needed to be heard. And I didn't always feel that the systems were, people were just doing their jobs. It was in a small town where, the main employer was, child protection services, the paper plant and the desalination plant. So in that place, they were so you had people in the field that were like, well, I live here, so I need a job, so I'm here. And I was like, oh no, when we're actually not doing that. we're gonna do this a really different way. And they were like looking at me like this black woman, and I'm like, yeah, I got a master's. I've been doing this for a really long time. Have you considered this? And yeah, I thought I would go in and I would kind of change the system from the inside out. But after 2 years, I was like, I'm out of this rural town. As a black woman, I was like, I think I'm done. I think I'm done.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I would definitely say I initially went into social work thinking I can give back, I can support people, I can do this, I can do that. And then I realized that oh, a lot of this is being taken away from me. So I have to step back and just figure out a way that I can do those same things, but in a different environment. Because going into social work, like we've said before, I feel like you're so green, you just think you can fix everything, and it's just not the case. Even though you have the good intentions on doing that, it's just not possible with all the systems that are working against people. So just recognizing that has helped me tremendously and led to my journey thus far.
Yes,
Wow.
I definitely relate to all of that. Going into social work, I'm like, I'm going to save other people. And then leaving it, I was like, I have to save myself.
It's a theme.
Wow.
Right. Absolutely. And uniquely for us as Black women, we already go through so much as it is, right?
Yeah.
So I think that in society, within familial settings, just in the world, period, right? Being a Black woman. And I think, from my perspective, is that those experiences have can fuel us to be entrepreneurs, because you have a sense of compassion, you have a sense of intuitiveness, if you will, about people and meeting people where they're at and what needs they may have. So you create, based on your skill set and what have you, you can take those skill sets and offer them to people in a way that is inviting, that is loving, that is encompassing, because you say, I understand. Simply put, I understand. I've had some experiences, and of course, I don't represent all of Black women, but I understand at the fundamental level that, perhaps what you need and how you need it, and how to relate to people on any level when you're serving, and even entrepreneurially, that's a service. You're serving people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not just giving them something to purchase or something like that. You're serving also in that way. Awesome. I just wanted to visit the chat for a moment, Marissa. I see
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Deshawn says, back in school, now finishing. Well, she was back in school, now finishing one class, complete my psych degree, and I gave up on 10 years ago. Okay. Don't want to go to grad school, so I'm figuring it out. Just want to finish this since I'm one class. I bless you, sweetheart. I understand.
Yes. Hang in there.
You can do it, dear.
Hang in there.
And let us know when you finish. We'll
Yeah.
Yes.
Feel really proud of yourself.
Yes. The Dark Nate says, yep, social work can't work how it should because the entire system is broken at its core. Yes. So as entrepreneurs, we realize, okay, I can't work within this system because I got to save myself, like Dani said. I might leave here broken.
That's true. That's true. And I do want to, touch on something Angela said about trying to work within the system, because that's something I did too. Right, going into the banking field as a social worker, trying to work on an issue like the racial wealth gap. That was my charge. Working inside a bank and quickly realized, this is like Dani said, I had to save myself. Like they are trying to set me up to this is an impossible task that I was given. And because I have a heart for this, I have a passion for this. I tried to do everything I could, but it's you're coming up against so many barriers without the support. And it's just impossible. And you do have to save yourself. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And can anybody relate to this? Did you feel like you was on a hamster wheel?
Yeah.
Yes.
Seeing the same thing?
Yes.
You're like, well, shoot, I'm the rat on this hamster wheel.
After a while.
Right. So whether you're still there, you're trying to get off that hamster wheel, we salute you. We understand.
Yes.
For sure. For sure. Thank you for that.
That makes, if I may add, that reminds me of, and ladies, please offer what you might know about this, but secondary trauma. Can we talk about that a bit? Because this is what that's making me think about, how when we show up so often for others and we're pouring so much of ourselves and then we're not receiving anything back, and on top of that we're not being seen and our realities aren't being validated, we can experience secondary trauma. Has anyone else experienced anything like that?
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Passion fatigue and all of that stuff. Just absolutely so tired of caring about others. And it's a weird place to be because that's your job. And it's like you said, Dani, it's a calling. So it's just a very strange place to be when you just emotionally tapped out from helping people so much. So so definitely I can relate to that.
But I think that's information for us, really, as people who see ourselves as helpers. And I think sometimes our cultures as Black women, you put on the cape, you're a resting place you can be a resting place for lots of people in our community. And so going into the workplace and doing a job like social work obviously it's great for those people who receive services, but unless you're quite strategic and structured in your life about how you replenish yourself and what are the things that you maintain, it could be a slippery slope to the, vicarious trauma and, the secondary trauma, and also that kind of fatigue feeling where you've got, emotional helping fatigue. And, I've certainly come out of social work into this entrepreneurial space thinking I really need to be careful about, having boundaries and actually what I give.
Oh no. Angela froze a little bit.
We needed to let that sink in.
Yeah. There you go.
Am I back?
Yes, you're back. Yes.
I'm sorry, guys. Here in Mexico, we've just had an outage. So excuse me. But I think that it can actually help us on our entrepreneurial journey about how we set boundaries, how we actually begin to take care of myself. And I'm definitely in my, I would call it, I don't know the word, but I'm in my selfish era where I've set up my business where I'm like, I don't want to be working all the time. I only work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. On the other days, I don't do anything after, before 12 noon. I've got all these things because of the way in which I had unconsciously been working. And so it can actually help you to begin to set up a different way of working that preserves you as a human being. Because essentially, before we're Black women, before we're any of those, we are human. Yes. And, and there is something about us being able to preserve ourselves as we do this really noble work.
I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah. You can't be anything to anyone else if you're nothing to yourself.
That's true.
So I totally agree. Yeah. And when I think about that, Dani, I think a term we use is countertransference. When you're working with people, have you ever sat down in front of someone or a family, and by the time they left you or you left them, you were like, woo!
Yeah.
Anybody can relate to that.
Yeah.
And you had to, regroup.
Mm-hmm.
You had to process what you heard, process, how you're going to handle it. And I think one of the things that, just a side note, you may have done this or heard about this, is having supervision. Somebody else who you can have as a sounding board to help you through those situations or occurrences or on the job or what have you, who can give you that sort of objective outlook and just be there for you, just to hear you so you can dump some of that, and I think it's important for me to have somebody who's familiar with the social work environment. You don't have to be in the same environment that I am, but you have a social work experience, so to speak, because it's something different for me to come home and tell my spouse about it. And they're looking at me like, I don't know what you're talking about, but okay. When you experience it, you know what you're talking about, but they might be like, okay. And they may even hold space for you and try to give you empathy and sympathy. But when you're a social worker, you get it. Get it. So having that supervision, I think is helpful for anybody who know about it or heard about it. I think that's helpful. Having that support group.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I'll just say for me, Dani, to your question, yes, secondary trauma was so real because I was working on reporting like poverty statistics in the job I was in. And so having to do that and be so far removed, plus being in like a for-profit arm of that was draining, was exhausting. So that was very real. And that was a part of my overall job burnout in the field. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question.
Yeah.
I do want to ask, actually, I do want to highlight a couple things from the chat real quick. Let me see. Stacey says there is a high rate of burnout in human service careers. Absolutely. Kudos to starting our own businesses. Enough grind, more ease. This is great. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacey.
Yes.
Enough grind, more ease. I love that. I love that. And Child Free with Mimi says that is so real. You go into the system thinking you'll make a real difference, and then it tries to chew you up and spit you out like all the people before you.
Oh,
it's a matter.
Wow.
You want to make it out, right?
Yeah.
How many people have not made it out?
Right.
That's true.
You
That is
know?
true. Yeah.
Yeah. I always say my goal is at the end of the day to remember my name. You know what I'm talking about. I want to remember my name. So y'all ain't gonna drive me crazy.
Absolutely. Because this is difficult. This is like heavy topics, right? Heavy stuff that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And having to come back to it every day and not having the support. And like you said, Dani, not having people around you who even get what you're going through is difficult. So having a circle even like this is so helpful and healing for me, just to hear everyone's story and realize I was not alone. And all of these things that I was experiencing, there's a pattern
Yeah.
to what we're experiencing in the field, in these jobs, as Black women social workers.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I guess we'll move to the next question. But in what ways do you leverage your skills now as an entrepreneur that you gained as a social worker over the course of your career? How did those skills come into play in your current job, current role?
I can go. I say for me, it definitely is the adaptability of everything. I feel like definitely as a social worker, you have to be adaptable to everything, like all the different systems that come into play, the characters, everything that comes with it. And then as an entrepreneur right now, I have to wear so many different hats. Like I have to be adaptable. I have to be adaptable to every single situation. I know we were talking about this before, but like I have to be the marketing person. I have to be customer support. I have to be
Yes.
the coach. Like I just have to be adaptable in situations. So definitely with that social work background and learning how to just be adaptable and move around in certain situations, that has definitely helped me as far as like entrepreneurship goes.
Yeah. I would have to agree with Lauren for sure. It definitely does help. It's so important. And, when you're a social worker, you're trying to juggle so many different hats and you're trying to make sure that all the resources are in place and everything is just like perfect. And that's a skill that has just really been very helpful as an entrepreneur for sure. And I think also another skill is making connections, being able to make connections with people. I think that's really important as a social worker. That's probably the most important thing as a social worker. And then also as an entrepreneur, just being able to form connections easily with people and convey that you care and that, that you want to help them, I think has been very helpful.
yeah. Awesome. You want to go, Dani?
Yeah, I would share. It's honestly taught me how to live in and practice my values, and to not, sacrifice myself for the convenience of others. Like that's personally helped me grow. And you know what? It started out when I was working with clients and I would hold space for them. And then in my role as a social worker, my supervisors, would not hold the same space for me. And that's when I realized, and that's why I asked that question about the secondary trauma, because I experienced it firsthand. So then I realized it's so important for me ethically to show up in ways where I'm honoring my client. I love this term, cultural humility versus cultural competence. I realized I will never be an expert in any culture, even my own, because I'm having my own individual experience. And so I was able to see how other social workers would hold space for clients and how I was holding space for clients. And the feedback I was getting was sometimes very different than the feedback other social workers were getting. And so that turns into a skill of, as an entrepreneur, I have worth inherently, and whatever I have to offer, if I'm living within my values, whatever is for me will come to me. Whoever is meant to be within my care or within my, circle, we will all align with each other. And in the social work field, sometimes things feel very forced when you're in a environment that is not sustaining, our wellness. So, yeah.
That's a really beautiful observation. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And you said something important, your values. And when you bring your values and authentic self, it resonates with people, right? And people can see when you're just trying to give them smoke and mirrors, and they know the difference. And when you are sincere about what you're doing and wanting to help the person who's come to you, So that makes a huge difference. And I love what you said. Me too. I would never feel like I would know everything about a culture. They teach you in social work school to learn about different cultures and get, the gist, or, maybe some social norms and things like that. But you'll never fully know the entire culture, right? So just being treating people like you want to be treated, you know,
Yes.
and in a loving, and I say loving way, you can't go wrong.
Mhm.
You cannot go wrong. So leveraging those skills, and as you mentioned, it has been mentioned that you wear many hats as a social worker.
So many.
You are a therapist sometimes. you the auntie. I mean, you the sister friend. You you're the person helping them to do the things that is out of the scope of what quote unquote your title might be. That goes out the window. You're there to be whatever it is that person may need. And I'm speaking from my experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, that leveraging that ability to wear multiple hats and do different things, and you come into a space of business, you're like, okay, there's some things I need to do, and multitask the things. You might source them out, but you still have to have your hands on everything and knowledge about different things. The same with social work.
Yeah.
You might not know everything about a social work entity, because there's so many of us, right? There's so many different types of social workers. And so many things that you need to know. You don't know everything, but you know where to go to get it. You know where to go to find it. We are resourceful.
Yes.
If we don't know, we'll put out the call. Hey,
That's something I had written down. Yes, the resourcefulness, being
Yeah.
able to learn, right, and seek out information if I don't know something, like especially in digital entrepreneurship, it's so new, right? So a lot of things I have to Google, I have to like try out myself before I can like teach someone else how to do it. So yeah, it's that ability to seek out information that you don't have continuously. The love for learning, I feel like, which a lot of us have. Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you also feel that having a level of curiosity is really helpful when you talk about other people's cultures, even if people may look like you, and the resourcefulness is also about having a level of curiosity, I think, which is, I think, quite important, because it means then you don't enforce your own values, and you actually are asking people about their narrative and what it means to them.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yes, and your ability to listen.
Yeah.
That is one of our greatest assets, your ability to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when people feel heard, they connect with you better. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I love that point. Yes, curiosity.
Yeah, so you don't come off as judgmental, because we have to understand that depending on what type of social work you do, there might be a real power imbalance, particularly if you're working with a government agency, with maybe a family that, like, they haven't chosen for you to be in their home. They haven't chosen to call you. They haven't chosen to work with you. They are being required to work with you. And so, it's having that level of, just understanding your power dynamic is really important. And coming from the place of curiosity can sometimes help people to feel less their back is against the wall. But being honest about the hats that you're wearing, it's about honesty. I spent a little bit of time working with young people, and they know when you are like authentic and real, and they know when you're just doing the job. And so our clients can be exactly the same. And when you're honest about, look, I'm here like help and advise, but I'm also here in another capacity as well, and I'm being honest about it. So there are some times when you're just going to really hate me, and there are other times when we can, it can be much more, of a nicer journey. But being really honest, I'm here because of, I wear all these hats, and one of them is actually may be quite difficult for you. But I'll always be respectful, and I'll always listen, and I'll always be curious.
Yes, I love that. Oh, thank you for sharing that. Lola Sunshine says, yes, a high level of curiosity tells me your level of care where I'm concerned. Yes. Curiosity and humility, I think, too. I always say early on in working in my government career, I realized real soon the only difference between the me and the people that I serve is in the length of the table I'm sitting at with them.
Ooh.
Wow.
That is the only difference, dear heart. But for grace and mercy,
Yeah.
I could be on the other side of that. And so when I serve and I show up, when you realize that, or you have a sense of that, you that all that, judgy or not understanding their culture, them doing,
Right.
things that you don't understand, and like you said, Angela, sometimes they just don't want to see you, and they're not happy about being there, but they have a need and they've come to you. So at the very least, you should be humble and respectful.
Absolutely.
Yes. That makes me think about being respected versus being liked.
Mm.
Mm. Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, some rich conversation. Thank you, ladies. We we putting it out all on the table for those social workers who might be in the audience, or for those who might not understand. You're getting the gist. A little bit of a feeling what it could be like to be a social worker. So I thank you all
Yes.
for being here.
Yes.
For sure. All righty. So, which leads me to our next question. What unique challenges have you faced as a Black woman starting and growing a business? Is there anything unique? Something you can point out, something perhaps that stands out for you, something that we might even talked about it, but if you want to bring it back full circle,
I
Well,
would say that. Oh.
go ahead.
you first, Lauren. You first.
I would certainly
Oh.
say, as a going into this entrepreneurial world, I feel like my world has been expanded. I feel like I can do a lot more things than I thought I could do,
All
and
right.
actually I could operate in the world in a more expansive way, that I'm just like, okay, we're doing this, and let's do it. Whereas I think maybe my vision, maybe as just as a social, not just, but as a social worker, was very limited, and now I feel expansive, and I want to use my skills in really innovative ways that are helpful for people today now, as opposed to what my training might have said my social work skills and qualifications could do, and who they could reach. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, excellent. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm. Um,
Next.
I would say like maybe just unsolicited like opinions.
Mm.
Because I feel like when you niche down so specifically to Black women, I'll say for me specifically, I niche down to Black women. So like maybe people not understanding like why I'm niching down to just serving Black women, and then having to remind myself and not question myself. Like this is why I chose to serve this demographic. So I would say that would be a unique challenge for me. I don't know if anyone else has like experienced like the questioning of like, maybe if you expand it to everybody, it would be better. So,
Yeah, why
and
only
just
Black women?
right, yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
I got a lot of messages and emails about that.
Mm,
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Wow.
I think I had to, one of the things I had to deal with that I feel like may be unique to Black women is my own feelings of like imposter syndrome. Like, I don't know how, it's just funny how being in these environments that don't necessarily support us in ways that we may not even be aware of, it kind of starts to kind of eat away at our own sense of
Yes.
and you may not even be aware of it. So I think
yeah.
that was one of the biggest challenges that I had to overcome, was my own imposter syndrome, that kind of, as you come out of the situations, you can kind of see a little bit clearer that the environment that you were in was helping contribute to your own feelings of like, um, I don't want to say necessarily low self-esteem, but just this general feeling that you don't necessarily belong. And I think I had to really overcome that in order to step out and step into my own power. So I think that might be a unique challenge that Black women face, especially when we're in these corporate environments where we're not seeing so many people who look like us.
Yeah. Right. Oh, I love that you brought that up. You know, and in the space and holistic space, sometimes you, such as I am in aromatherapy, you might not see enough of us. You're looking far and wide. You're like, where are we? You know, and feeling like, oh my goodness, you know, can I do this? Am I enough?
Yeah, right.
Am I enough to do this? Because I don't see very many of us doing it. So am I good enough to do this?
Yeah, right.
You know, and then having that mindset and I think that's where seeking community comes in order to help you build up that confidence, help you to have that courage, so to speak. Another John, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say, and thankfully, we have so many examples of Black women entrepreneurs, you know, social workers and others. So now we can just look to each other for inspiration and encouragement, because you know, we have to be honest. Black women are killing it when it comes to like entrepreneurship and business. Like, I mean, you can just look around and be inspired everywhere you go. I mean, your best friends. I mean, you have to know somebody that is really just out here putting themselves out here. So it's really helpful. This is a perfect time, I feel like, for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Black women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in the US.
It's amazing.
Right. So we're kind of stepping into the footsteps of people who have come before us, kind of learning from their example and also putting our spin on it. Because there are just so many like tools and things that exist now in the digital space, right? For us to be able to take our skill set, transition into entrepreneurship, and help each other along the way. So we don't all have to start from scratch in learning these things. So yeah, absolutely.
I love that. Yeah, I love you say put our own spin on it, because I tell you, Courtney, when you said that, when we do the thing, when we get our hands on it, baby,
it's not the same.
It's not the same. People like, okay, I got that. I'm about to do the thing, and you do it, and you show up, and you show out
every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love that. One of the things I want to bring up too that might be unique that we might not talk about is having a capital.
Yes. I wrote that down. Yep.
To start, you know, that, you know, in itself can be sometimes discouraging or feeling like, oh goodness, I need to have all this money to do the things. But that also fuels us to be resourceful, wouldn't you say? Be resourceful, be resilient. Ask yourself, well, how can I? How can I? You know, who can I tap into, and what can I do? You know, and then when you put that out, I feel like all the resources come to you. When you make that decision and you say, how can I do this? I know this what it look like, and you know, I might feel like I can't do it because maybe I don't have all the monies I need or the support I need, but how can I do it? And I think that that is very helpful in that way.
That's so true, because we're not starting with the same capital, like you said, as a lot of people who enter into entrepreneurship, right? Getting a loan from their family, getting like a loan from a bank, which you know is so difficult to do. So we're starting with that, with things stacked against us, but that doesn't mean that we can't still thrive, right? By sharing knowledge with each other. And like Lola Sunshine says, a lot of times challenges equals determination, resourcefulness, and eventually success. So we're still doing it. Like y'all can try to put barriers, and we're just going to continue to be like, okay, scoot those out the way. Because I have a purpose in what I'm doing, and I'm still pursuing it despite those obstacles.
And it's amazing with all the AI, what AI is doing, and a lot of the free resources around this kind of like digital nomad kind of thing that we can piggyback off. And I mean, I created a website in a really short space of time. I didn't have the resources to spend thousands trying to get someone, and I needed it done really quickly. So I was able to put my hand to an AI generated website because I was asked to speak at a conference with Marissa. And I felt that, you know, I was completely unprepared. And I was like, okay, so what can I put my hand to? And I was like, AI. And there is a Nigerian Instagram influencer that I follow. And it just so happens that she spoke about this AI generated website. And I was like, okay, let's have a look at it. And I was like, okay, we're going to do this. You know, I didn't have the thousands of dollars to get, and I didn't have time. And so there is a lot of things out there that we can really help us, you know, to be innovative, use technology to also get to our goal. Like Marissa said, it's like we you know, we have a plan and we have a mission, and let's try and see how we can do that. And new technology can really, really assist us. And a lot of it is not expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I love what you said about the resources, excuse me, and having resources such as you ladies, or a community where you can bounce things off of each other, right? What you don't know, your sister may know, or somebody else may know, and that's helpful as well.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, I feel like, is our strength, in that we're willingness to share. When you get in a community with ladies who are willing to share, you know, what they know and how they know it, and it's nothing that couldn't be accomplished, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would share when I do research on, and just speaking about even entering into the doula field, Black mothers are 3 times more at risk. And so that really fueled my passion and my career shift. I've worked with youth, I've worked with families, and I've also experienced being in situations where I'm putting in so much effort and my value isn't being seen by the company, yet I'm making such an impact on the families.
Right.
And so I'm like, why do I need a middleman? Like, why do I need to keep working 9 to 5s again and again, and then getting burnt out again and again? And like you said, being on this hamster wheel, where I am always, like you also said, going to show up and show out, and I've consistently done that. And so how can I help myself and continue to help my community? And so when I do that research, I become more confident in my ability to be sovereign, just career-wise, financially, emotionally. Like I'm more aware of certain dependencies I might have been indoctrinated to believe in while in college, because when I chose social work as a major, you know, in college, I literally only chose it because when it was like senior year of high school, and it's like, what major are you gonna have? You're gonna go to college, what's gonna be your major? And I literally just looked at the public colleges in my state and looked at what options they had. And once I looked up social work, I was like, this fits my personality. I feel like I can do this. And then I chose it. And then I found out about the track where you can go from a bachelor's to a master's. And my master's program was 1 year. And I was the youngest in my cohort, and I completed that cohort during the pandemic. And so all of those experiences really shaped how I showed up in the social work field. But once I was actually graduated, and even actually while I was in the internship, I noticed my peers, and I was the only Black girl in lots of my classes in all of my internships. I was recognizing my other peers and classmates were able to experience and autonomously operate more than me. They were receiving more guidance, more coaching, more resources than me. However, I was offering every single time value whenever I shared, because when I talk about social work and when I learn these concepts in class, I'm understanding this from personal experience, because in my personal experience, I experienced having a child welfare worker. I experienced having an ongoing social worker come in and out of my house, and watching my parents be completely uncomfortable with a random person coming in and out. So I was sharing those things in class, which is so valuable. that I'm ever even sharing my personal experience in a classroom setting, but I watched how that shaped the trajectory of conversations. I watched how that made my other classmates more aware. And in my heart, I'm like, I'm really sharing this so they cause less harm in the field,
Mm.
because I know what it's like. I know what it was
Yes.
like having a white woman come in and out of my home, and my dad was pissed every time. So offering the things that I'm learning in my research, and also offering wellness by like my YouTube channel. Let's read stories, let's share coping skills. And as I build my doula, business, an insecurity of mine was, I don't have kids, so is anyone gonna, want me as a doula? But as I'm learning, some women might want that. Some women might want that. And Enough by MNT, shout out. She encouraged me, Marissa. She's like, sometimes a mom might want that experience of not feeling guilty for needing that doula because you don't have kids to go back to. So it's just, the challenge that I notice that our culture experiences through the research. It's like these systems are created to help us, and they end up doing so much harm to the population they're built for. And I don't want to be a part of that anymore.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Dani. That was beautiful. Thank you, and thank you for showing that comment, Marissa. Yes, she will be an amazing doula. And just for those who don't know, some of us may know what a doula is. Could you explain a little bit? It's more sort of like a midwife, but I know it goes a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah, and even that's another thing I learned in our research. It used to be us in America that pretty much everyone was going to us to be able to service this childbirth process. So a doula is someone who assists you emotionally and physically during your childbirth process. It can be before, in the planning phases, before you're pregnant, during the childbirth process, and then there's postpartum, which is after the childbirth process. There's also doulas of all different kinds. There's sex doulas, there's childbirth doulas, postpartum doulas, doulas of all different kinds. And a midwife is someone who does more of the medical assistance, and if there's anything going on with your body, you would need a midwife there. But that doula is really that support that a lot of us really need, and it makes a difference, especially if you're in a hospital setting. That advocacy piece, if you have someone by your side who says, oh, hold on, doctor, what do you need, mama? Did you have any questions? Hold on, let's pause. Mama, did you understand that? What all are the options that are available to you? Because this doctor does not know you better than you know your own body, right? So what do you need right now? How can I prepare you better to go through this process, because it's sacred? And that hospital setting doesn't offer that. And there's so many more options to access childbirth experiences, like at-home births or even just childbirth centers. So doulas can really be a great addition to that team that a mama needs around her.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And correct me if I'm wrong, does it also play with reducing infant mortality rates for our
Yes.
community? Because we have the highest, Black women.
Yes. And that's also what led me to want to be a doula. I was born 3 pounds, and I'm so grateful that me and my mom came out of that situation with, our health with us. And I know that's not always the case. And so, yes, as far as the preparation and throughout the process of childbirth, sometimes things that come to mind that I'm so excited to help with is, how is the family adjusting to this new change in the family? It's not just mom that's going through a change. It's the whole family unit, right? It's the whole household. What type of nutrition, diet plan, meal plans might be helpful? I have a friend who's, joining tea herbalism classes. And so I'm so excited for both of us to join together to offer, further resources and education around how tea as a natural resource can be used, so we're not just completely dependent on pharma.
Yeah.
Or, we can just offer, what, mom, you're going through so much right now. Let me help carry the burden and let's learn together. Your body is going through so much. Let's try new things so your body can be at ease in this process. The hospital might want to force the process and force the baby to come out faster by certain methodologies, like laying on your back, for example, with your knees in the air. That's literally not conducive to every woman's body. Also, it's not the most natural way to have childbirth, and every woman's body is different. And so that body autonomy is really important, and that is how a doula can decrease the Black maternal mortality rate. Because how do we know that we have control over our bodies when the hospital system is constantly telling us they know more about our bodies than us?
Speak. Speak. Exactly. You mentioned the word pharma, big pharma. And I learned a term recently, tap into your inner pharmacy. Right?
Ooh, I love that.
Inner pharmacy. So
Yeah.
with your work, you're helping them to tap into their inner pharmacy, be it with assistance with herbs or however you work with them. So yes, most definitely. You're gonna be fabulous, Dani.
Thank you so much.
I'm so excited for you.
Yes. Thank you for elaborating on that.
Yes, it's kind of like a little bit of quiz. It's like, oh, I do know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sure.
And I feel like a lot of the things we're doing right in entrepreneurship is kind of getting back to ancestral practices. So we kind of lost along the way, tapping back into that, because there's so much knowledge, right? There's thousands of years of knowledge that we can tap into about how to live in a way that doesn't feel like this, because a lot of this feels so wrong. The way that we're being forced to live often in this society. So that's powerful.
Yeah, it really
is. It is.
Excited for you. I guess I can ask any advice that you would give to other Black women social workers who are aspiring to start their own businesses, as you are now entrepreneurs, kind of having gone through the transition. Anything you'd like to share with people who are aspiring entrepreneurs?
just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Entrepreneurship is tough, but it's rewarding and it's exciting, and it changes you into transforms you into a different type of person, and the rewards are just so great, and the impact that you can have on the entire world, especially now with all the resources and tools we have available to us. Social workers starting businesses, it just feels like everybody wins. We're helping the community, we're helping each other. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. So don't be afraid, just do it.
Yes.
And don't think that because somebody else is doing something similar that you can't do it, because I had to get over that. It does not matter how many people are doing it. Like, there's room for everyone to grow and to dive into what you actually want to do.
Right.
Yeah. And surround yourself with people who are already doing what you aspire to do.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what Marissa Price's channel has done for me. I'm like, I'm more confident now because she has an MSW too. And look at what she's doing. I want to do that too. So surround yourself with people who are doing what you would like to do.
Yeah. And when you're doing it with passion, it makes it all the more better. Yeah. Right? Because you'll have some days where you're like, woo, I'm tired. But when you're doing it from a place of passion and wanting to serve and just giving it your all, you're like, okay, I'm tired, but I'm going to sit down and get back up.
Yeah. Right.
And when we talked about that, when you're in collaboration, seek collaboration.
Yes.
That is so helpful.
Yeah.
So helpful. Get your tribe of people, seek out those who are doing the things that you're doing. And like you mentioned, Lauren, it doesn't matter if somebody else is doing it. You never know what you can bring or what value that the other person doesn't bring. Everybody relates to different people differently. So, ooh, Lauren, you didn't have to at me with that one.
Mimi.
Oh,
I feel like we hold ourselves back because like we're just overthinking about it. Like, oh, this person's already doing it. They're already doing it.
yes.
But there's so many, like, there's so much room. There's so much money out there. I should say.
Yes.
Come on.
Please talk about it. Please talk about it.
Yeah.
It's
Why
more
not me?
than enough.
Yes.
Can
Yeah,
we
why
say
not
that
me?
together?
Right.
It is more than
More than
enough.
There's more than enough. Yes.
I mean, what I would say, my advice would be, if someone as a social worker is thinking about entrepreneurship, is to just to know that the gift that you have is the medicine that the world needs, and that the thing that, we all coming from different aspects of social work, and the bit that really lights you up, for me, it was about emotional literacy and our emotional landscapes. I know that is the bit that lights me up. So that's the bit that I take into my entrepreneurship. And for someone else, it might be different, but to know that, as I said, gift that you have is the medicine that the world needs, and there is space for it because people need it.
Yeah.
That was
I
beautiful.
love that.
I like that too. Yeah,
Yes, it's often been said that you never know who you're going to impact. Somebody needs your gift. Somebody somewhere. One somebody, somebody's definitely.
Yeah.
And actually, we can't always see the impact that we have on people's lives, because sometimes it happens later.
Yeah.
I've had people try and find me on Facebook and message me, and like kids that you always think, oh, I wonder what happened, and you could never see at that point like the impact that you and a whole raft of other people have had, but you don't always get to see it.
Right.
So it's a kind of a delayed kind of gratification, and you have to just hold the hope that, with your passion and with your, just your care, that actually that's impactful, because we're human beings and sometimes that's what we need. We need care in a world that sometimes doesn't care, and sometimes in organizations and in government programs that say they care, but we wonder.
No.
Yeah, not really built for us to thrive, right?
No.
Just merely survive. That's it. But not thrive.
I do see a question in the chat from Inar. Question for the ladies: how do you navigate fear with inconsistency, like not always having a regular paycheck, per se? If anyone would like to answer that.
Well, I would say do as much planning as you can ahead of time. I don't like that hard and fast rule of try to have like 6 months of savings saved up before you quit your job or whatever. But I do think it's important to have a plan, when you're going into something, especially something as important as not having a job or not having that regular income. It is important to go into it with a plan, and then just do your best to work the plan. And then there's also nothing wrong with recognizing if you have to pivot and change up your strategy for a little while, and you may have to go back to work for a little while, and that's the great thing about having these skills, is that you can use them however you need to use them at the time. So if you need to be back at work for a little while, do that without any hesitation, but just have a plan for how you're going to make your exit.
I so agree with that, because I'm about to go back to Australia to do some work, even though I've spent this time creating this business, and I don't feel any type of shame about it. I'm just like, this is the skill that I have. It's in demand. It's going to give me what I need, but I know that I'm going to be exiting it. It's not something that is going to be like, I'm going to be like going crazy about. It's for a purpose, and it's strategic. So I totally agree.
Something you can always fall back on.
Always,
So
that's so important. because your skills don't go anywhere, right? No matter what environment you're in, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in a 9-to-5 corporate setting, like community agency, you still have your skill set. That's
And
permanent.
still gaining
So it's within you.
experience, you know, you're still gaining
And
more
your
experience. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It sounds like we're walking ourselves through the process like we would have walked a client through the process.
what I'm hearing is, you know, again,
Strength-based perspective.
Yeah. That's social work
You're not
terminology.
quitting. You're just doing something else to make sure you get to that end goal.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And think of it, I've heard it said that think of them as an investor. They're investors in what you in your business, right? You might not necessarily want to be there, but it's like, okay, I'm here, so you can invest in what I really want to do.
That's a great way. That's really helpful for people who are struggling, like right now in their jobs. That's one thing I help people do is like you have to start shifting the way that you're thinking about what you're doing every day. You know, you're gaining a lot of experience that you can use, and you have to be there. So let's just make the best of it, you know, until we can make the plan to exit. But yeah, this, you know, definitely use your experiences to your own advantage, I think, for sure.
Yes. But they say that social work is one of the fastest growing fields and will be needed going in the future for sure. So
it does not seem like anything's are going to get any better anytime soon, does it?
There's streets that go away, but social work ain't one of them.
No.
No.
We're going to be needing social workers, guys.
One of the things that I would just add really quickly is pricing, like how you value what you do.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can help with your strategy about, you know, when, you know, and we've all talked about imposter syndrome in the very beginning and thinking, should I really be doing this? Can I do this? And so sometimes it can impact what you charge or what your pricing is. And sometimes if you get the pricing right, you might have a bit more of cushioning before having to go back into those environments that you left.
Right.
Absolutely. Or might even think about setting up multiple streams of income.
Right. Yeah.
We've heard that. You know, it might not be streams of income where you're actually hands-on.
Right.
It could be something that you get it and set it, and that's another revenue for you as well to help you with your business. So there's different ways to do that.
Yeah.
You know, so being creative in that space.
I agree.
And I think I just want to touch on Angela's point about pricing. A lot of us are taught as social workers, we have to accept being like lowball when it comes to offers, salaries, accepting being paid like the bare minimum for what we do. But we offer so much value in our services and our skill set, and it's important to price your services adequately. But it can be hard. It can be hard to learn that.
Absolutely. And especially for social workers, think about it, that social work guilt that we have, because we know that people are broke. We know that, you know, that we know that people are struggling. We really do. And we have access to that in a way that a lot of people don't. So we, you know, that social work guilt is very real, especially for entrepreneurs, social work entrepreneurs, because it's just really hard. There's like a scarcity mindset and this whole idea of, you know, is there enough? And, you know, so being a social worker, it gives us that that unique lens and a unique perspective to see it. But at the same time, we do have to value our skills, because if we don't, then nobody will, you know?
And what if all of your entrepreneurship and your business can't survive on the pricing scale that you have? And it's like, then it's like, who benefits?
Right.
Who benefits in the long run when your gift is not there, giving the medicine to the people who need it? It's like you're not there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Lola. Sean, yes. And then being scared to ask for what you're worth.
Right.
It's a thing. It is a thing. It's a thing.
It's very real.
That some of us really need help with. I certainly needed help with that.
Yeah.
I had one conversation that was a bit stern about like what you're doing. What exactly are you doing?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what? I had to be shaken a little bit. Like, you're transforming people's lives. Like,
Yeah. Right.
why is that $20?
Right.
You're literally transforming someone's life. Why is that $25?
Right.
And it's a thing, and I needed help with it. It wasn't something that I was conscious of.
Right.
And sometimes we might need help. We don't always have to do things by ourselves. And like having community and feeling like you're in a collective spaces can be really helpful too.
For sure.
Yes.
Thank
If
you.
I may add, just want to shout out again Marissa Price's community, Free Black Women Entrepreneurs, because something that has helped me is having an accountability partner, someone to keep me honest, someone that I can share my personal, thoughts and where I'm at in the process. And they encourage me no matter where I'm at. So I can just keep going. And even just if I were to go back into a 9 to 5 or, have a job where, I'm there for that to fund, what I really want to do in order, because, we like stability and we like that consistent check. So just in case I end up falling back into the trap of I'm putting my dream back on the back burner because I got comfortable here, that accountability partner can be there to offer that. Hey, remember when you used to be really excited when you used to think about this thing? No pressure. I'm still here to support you whenever you're ready, but I'm here for you. And that just is so sacred of a relationship. Have an accountability partner who truly sees you.
Yes.
I love
Well,
that.
absolutely. Yeah. Having someone there, who's going to be there to support you no matter what, right? So that's definitely key. Accountability partner and a tribe, a community. It's nothing like it. Absolutely. Nothing like it. I love that. Thank you for bringing that up for sure. Anybody else want to add to that? So we're saying, everyone, just do it.
Oh, I would have one more thing. Like, if we just take our ego out of it, sometimes we're not going to be someone's cup of tea. And it's like, you know what? I would know try this person out. Let me go introduce you to my social worker sister, Marissa. Like, she might be the person you want to, work with. And so sometimes we can plant seeds that way. Let me direct you to my sister.
Yeah, absolutely. You made me think about something, Dani, and this is like a side question, Marissa. How do you handle people who don't want to pay you what you're worth?
Ooh.
Have you ever come up in situations where they're like, I want the information, I want you to help me, but I don't want to pay you?
Thank goodness.
I was going to say, I haven't encountered that in entrepreneurship yet, but I've encountered that in the workplace.
Yeah, jobs.
Yeah, jobs constantly trying to undervalue you, constantly trying to offer you the lower salary, and you having to push back. And it's like the blame is on you right often. Like, why didn't you push back? Well, it's hard. It's hard when you have like all these people staring at you and like, yeah, it's intimidating. That's a perfect word. Yeah. But thankfully, I haven't encountered that in entrepreneurship yet. And I think it is because of the clientele that I have. Why it's so important to like identify your target audience, people who value what you bring to the table and who aren't going to question your pricing. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Keyword target audience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All righty. Thank you for sharing, ladies. So again, to sum it up, just do it, people. Oh, so this brings us to what resources or support systems have been most valuable to you in building and sustaining your businesses? We touched upon that a little bit. You want to expand on any of that? Support system and resources have been valuable to you, ladies?
I can share. I definitely think my current coach and like mentor, Dr. Alana DeGrassa, she's been like amazing in terms of like pushing me and seeing like the value within me that sometimes I can't see. So her being able to bring that out of me. I would definitely say like accountability buddies that I have through like the Digital Nomad program. And also just like seeing other women within like the Exodus community have that inspiration as well. So like seeing them do their thing and like that inspiring me to do my thing as well. And then like this community right here, this has been like a great support, just like doing this panel with you all. So I would say those are like my supports and resources for sure in entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing too. Just making connections like this is incredibly supportive. It helps you. It makes you feel like you're not just like the new kid on the block. When people are open to just connecting with you, it's very, very helpful, and it helps in so many different ways. So I really appreciate this and other opportunities for this kind of connection.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I would share again, just finding your tribe, who can celebrate the small wins with you.
Yes.
It's enough. It's one thing for me to celebrate my small wins, but oh my goodness, when I get to share it in community and other people are like, yay, I'm so happy for you. That's so awesome. And other people recognize my growth. That's just a boost that gives me so much more fuel to keep going.
Yeah. Exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I certainly would say that a lot of my support has come from Black women, to be honest. Exodus Summit, people like Marissa, and other Black females around me who actually a really good friend of mine. We worked in the same social work organization, and we kind of hatched a plan to kind of like exit and just jump ship. And she's in Bali and she's an interior designer. And obviously I came to Mexico and started this emotional well-being coaching business. And that was really important for me to have someone who understood where I was coming, not just as a Black woman, but also as a social worker. All the stability, all the things, a stable paycheck, all the like stable things, like a noble and honorable job, knowing that you were stepping out, like you were really stepping out and you were actually saying, no, I don't want that stability anymore, that type of stability anymore. But actually a lot of my support came from other Black women who like inspired and were just like always there. And some who were always like questioning, like I said about pricing, what are you doing? All stuff. So and so it is important to find the people who kind of resonate with you, get you, understand you, and are willing to support you, and vice versa. So yeah, it's really, really important.
Yeah, I love that. And finding your tribe, I can say that has been the most beneficial resource. I remember, and you ladies may know her. You know Lisa Nichols. So she played in, what is the name? You know what I'm trying to say? It's a book out. I can't call it. Maybe you know in the chat, but she has a book out called Abundance Now, right? But before that, she was in it's a famous book that helps you to manifest what you want.
The Secret?
Thank you. You know, I'm looking at I said, I can't recall the name. In the Secret is when I was first introduced to her. And then she has she's a motivational speaker and all the things that she teaches people how to make money speaking, with your skills and talents that you already have. So through her is where I first learned about an accountability partner. She was having something on Facebook years ago, and I got an accountability partner then. So that sparked me to move forward in what I do today. I've had the same accountability partner. Oh goodness, going 8 years. So if you're in the chat, you watch the replay.
Oh, that's amazing, Dani.
That is cool.
Yeah, I call her my BCB. She knows what I mean, book, chapter, and verse. Yes. And that has been instrumental because we bounce things off each other. Of course, we're in different directions, doing different things, but having someone true and tried and true who you can bounce things off of. How do you think about this? Who can help? Oh, in value with helping, because when you talk to someone, they know something you don't, and vice versa.
Right.
Right. And they may learn from something from somebody and bring it back to you and say, well, guess what I learned, and when you share in that collaboration, that has been absolutely invaluable. So having that accountability partner, collaboration, and having tools, such as this, meeting wonderful ladies such as yourself on YouTube has been beneficial. So yeah. That community and collaboration and accountability, I say, has been definitely my support system. And I don't know what I would be without it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, YouTube has been invaluable. Just stumbling across like all of these amazing Black women content creators has like changed my life completely.
Yeah.
Just having that access to information that we share so freely. I think that's like so special that we're able to access that. So yes, agreed. I do want to be conscious of time, everyone's time. But as we're wrapping up, I wanted to ask, since it is International Women's Day, how do you envision the future of entrepreneurship for Black women in particular in the social work profession going forward?
I think it's very exciting. Very exciting. Very
Yes.
exciting. Yeah, that's all I can say. It's just exciting to see what we're going to do and how we're going to use our skills and the different businesses we can start. I mean, it's just really amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would love to see I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I would love to see more coaching and mentorship. I had lots of supervisors who honestly were intimidated by me. I would say it was ageism and racism. And those things did not stop me. But God forbid a young woman out there feels so discouraged that she completely changes and just gives up on her own dream because of someone who was intimidated by her brilliance. So if she was able to have a mentor or a coach who said, you know what, I'll offer my time, I'll offer what I had to go through and share some of that with you and meet with you and check in on you, that would just be my dream.
Lovely. Absolutely. And I'd be remiss. Yes, mentorship. Having someone who's done the thing that you're doing and trying to do and can guide you along the way so you don't make those maybe similar mistakes, perhaps, so you can learn from what they learned and build upon that. So most definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to add to that? How would you envision?
I can add just the innovation. I'm excited to see. I think we see it already, right? It's just so inspiring to be in communities like this one, see like what everyone's working on. That sparks ideas for me. I'm like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Let me try to explore it. So just to can see like the continuous evolution of entrepreneurship for Black women social workers. I think I'm excited too, Courtney. I'm really excited to see the level of innovation in the things that we come up with using our skill set in such unique ways that we're not taught in schools, but we feel it. It's kind of like we're being led to offer these products and services to our community in a way that we can make our own rules.
Yeah.
Which I think was mentioned earlier. We don't have to follow anyone else's rules. I think that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, like the endless possibilities that are available to Black women social workers.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
I certainly agree. It is exciting times, and how we innovate into the future. It does feel really exciting. It feels like there's a lot of space for us if we so decide to take up that space. There is space for us, and I wonder sometimes when we look back at the organizations that we're no longer in and the spaces and community spaces that we're no longer in, that it's possible that what we do changes what happens in those spaces because of the innovation and because of the it's possible,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
That I love that. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's activism in leaving too, and like leaving these toxic spaces, creating our own things,
Right.
and going after like something better. We don't have to subject ourselves to this harm. And like you said, that could potentially spawn changes because we make an impact where we are. So us leaving and creating our own things, like people notice.
Yeah.
People notice, and it's powerful. Yeah.
Yes.
And they'll remember us.
Yeah.
Yes.
When our books are out and when our people are
Exactly.
talking about, did you read that book? And someone's like, yeah, she was in my class in college, or and then they start to think like, oh, I used to supervise her. I don't think I did a very good job, but she did it anyway.
Exactly. Check yourself. Yes.
Yeah.
She's talking about me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Being those change makers is what I think about.
Yeah.
Being those change makers.
Yeah. History in the making.
Yes.
We're turning the world upside down. Like literally some of the things that we're doing that our previous generation couldn't even conceive of doing, because the stability of the paycheck, the stability of like having a job, like we've just jumped into something completely different. And it's exciting. It's very
It
exciting.
is. And why not you? Some might be thinking out there, well, could it be me? Yes, why not you? All righty. So I think we're winding down, Marissa. What self-care strategies do you employ navigating the challenges of entrepreneurship? Any self-care tips you have out there?
There's two things I'm always striving for.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily a self-care tip, but in a general high level, maybe it is. I'm always thinking about playfulness, and I'm always thinking about liberation. So those are the two things that I think are probably going to steer me right. So I'm not in the entrepreneurship. I don't get too serious. But I'm always thinking about being ethical in what I do, and so I'm always thinking about liberation. And and always thinking about eating my greens. Breathing, getting good air, and all of those things that we know to do that are really good for us as human beings and keep our cortisol levels down, which in social work you just don't seem to be able to control. These cortisol levels are just all over the shop. So now we have the opportunity to have businesses, but to do all those good things, take care of our bodies and and listen to our bodies and drink all the water and all that stuff, move our bodies, do all of that thing. Those are the things that I would say.
Yeah, I would add to that. And I'm just thinking about an Exodus Summit, Octavia Rahim. She said, how can you get 1% more comfortable? And incorporating that into my entrepreneurship journey. In my doula program, they said, we're not going to treat this like how school, we're not going to treat it like how school was. Don't pressure yourself. Don't force yourself. You don't have to go through it super fast. Don't put a bunch of pressure, extra things on your load. How can you incorporate more rest and ease into the process? And so, how can I make this something that works for me instead of making this just another thing that I'm burning myself out or stretching myself too thin? Just being more mindful of that.
Yeah. You want to add anything to that?
I can say I have really grown an appreciation for like public parks since being in Mexico. So just like for me, just going outside and like sitting in the park and just seeing people just live their lives, and then like having the time to read or jot down notes or just be in the moment. I realized that I wasn't doing that a lot back at home in the States. So like just being here and seeing how much like the park is such a central foundation to like Mexico, and just taking that in. And that's how I'm like showing self-care to myself, is just like being in that environment and just sitting with it.
Yeah. I was going to say rest. Not.
Mhm.
I know that that's hard, especially in entrepreneurship. It's like there's always something to do. We're wearing so many hats, like we talked about. But I started prioritizing rest.
Mm,
And I started noticing that I would have a lot better ideas when I had rest. For a while I was convinced that I could push myself as hard as I needed to and still get things done, but I started realizing that that was contributing to the burnout, and then also just not really helping me do what I needed to do. So I prioritize rest and eating as well as possible. Yeah.
oh, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, sleep.
Sleep is huge. Yeah,
Yeah.
It
absolutely.
is. It
And
is.
I'll say for me, nature, getting out
Mm,
in nature is pivotal and part of my self-care plan. And also pacing myself. Because I
mm,
feel like, especially in the online business world, like things are very fast paced because all of this is new. We're learning these things. It's like these tools. There are so many tools out there that
yeah,
exist.
yeah.
So reminding myself I can go at the pace that I want to now because I work for myself. And I
Right.
think that's a huge advantage of being an entrepreneur. You don't have to go at anyone else's pace. You can set your own pace, set your own rules, work with who you want to work with. So there's a lot of autonomy that exists with that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being out in nature and being with yourself, you know, just being mindful. That reminds me of mindfulness. When you're sitting in nature, you're paying attention. I don't know, but growing up, I didn't pay attention to nature like I do now. Right? I pay attention to the birds singing. I always say they're singing to me, or
Yeah.
paying attention to the animals. You know, I might
Mhm.
see
Mhm.
running around like a deer or whatever the case might be. But being out in nature is one of my favorite things. Journaling, I love to journal thoughts. Try to exercise, and you mentioned about foods. Definitely trying to eat foods that will nourish me, or as I say, help me and not hurt me. We like them feel good foods,
Yeah.
right? But them feel good foods can sometimes lead to not so feel good results. So yeah, and of course, you know, aromatherapy is a huge part of what I do. I mentioned many times on my channel that I do not leave the house without some form of aromatherapy. It just calms me and senses me and grounds me, right? To do the work that I do, right? I need something extra sensory to help me in the course of a day. Be it also affirmations, you know, all the things you might have on your desk. I don't know what your desk may look like when you were working or you do now. You have affirmations to help you get through your day. So those little small tidbits of self-care, things that I like to do, you know, and passionate about, that really helps me get through um, being in this entrepreneurial space.
Yeah.
I can't say that I knew anything about it before now, you know, and really delving into it, you're like, wow, okay, yeah, this
Yeah.
is work.
Self-care is crucial. Yeah.
I need
Absolutely.
all the tools I can get
Yep.
to help me to navigate, you know, what I'm doing. So, but I have to take care of me first.
Yes. You 1st. Hmm.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
Men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And me wanting to help other people, other social workers. I see, you know, you're in the social work space. We talked about this. You get burnt out,
Hmm. Yeah.
compassion fatigue, and all the things. So me wanting, you know, to help others is me learning about aromatherapy, me wanting to share it with others as well. So those things are key.
I've always thought I would love to like coach and work with social workers maybe before they qualify, you know, just so that
Mm.
they're really armored up, you
Ooh.
know,
Mhm.
going into the profession. Like, I don't want to catch them on the way out when they're already mangled and like
Burned out.
broke
Done.
down. No, I want to catch them on the way in to actually go manage your expectations, you
Mm.
know. You it's like, it's not fast food. You might not see the thing, but come with your ethicalness, come with your value, come with your care, and come with your compassion, but also take care of yourself in the midst of it. So I would love to work with social workers before they enter, to really give them the tools, and also, you know, how to deal with some of the challenges just of being in the workplace and having managers and bosses that just sometimes shouldn't be in the profession. And how you strategize to not internalize it, not personalize it, but rather, you know, understand that that's an expectation, that's something that could happen. So you already know it's going to happen. It's not going to be a shock. It's something that you might meet. I would love to get my hands on social workers going in.
That is an excellent idea. Absolutely excellent. Yes.
I would love to.
There is a need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Child Free would made me say, I love the idea, Angela. There is a need for it. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
And also to get hold of the training. Like, I just want to know, like, can we, you know, rejig some of the social work training to make it much more, I don't know, fit for purpose? I don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
and realistic.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you get the textbook stuff or you get the procedural stuff, but you need that how can I show up and be my best self everyday stuff that they don't teach you in the textbooks or they don't teach you in the procedural guides or whatever the case might be, that you might come up against. And that self-care, you know, piece is important, most
Yeah.
definitely.
Compassion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as we're wrapping up, I know Danny, you mentioned your aromatherapy business, but just any products or services that you all offer, how people can get in contact with you, and then also how to continue to follow your journey online. Any social handles that you'd like to share?
Sure.
Oh,
Go ahead.
which dance?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Natural LID. Yes, your aromatherapy business. I know that you mentioned.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I thought Danny wanted to go and say something. You had a question, dear, though?
No.
No. Oh, so yes. So you heard me say in the beginning that one of my passions is marrying social work and aromatherapy. And I understand like the burnout, again, with 20 plus years of experience, I have seen some things, right, y'all? and working in a sector that, like I've mentioned before, is just designed to me just to help people survive, but not thrive. Okay. And then working with social workers, seeing how they're having compassion fatigue and seeing how you need something else, something else in your toolbox, something else to pull from besides the theory or the procedures when you just could be at your wit's end, or when your clients are not with you, you know, because the people you serve aren't always with you and they need something else to go along or complement the things that you provide for them, right? And so that's where I married the aromatherapy, sharing what I know with other social workers. So it can not only help them during the course of their day and showing them how you can seamlessly add it into your work day, like be it having a diffuser on your desk, choosing right essential oils, just to help you to navigate caseloads. We know about caseloads, right? We know about counter transference. We know about high levels of stress. And aromatherapy for me has been the key. Of course, there are other tools that you can work with as well, but that has been key for me. And to be able to share it with social workers so they know it's something you can offer your clients. How about that? Offer that them as a way of coping skills, a way for them to navigate life. You know, it's not the, you know, end all be all solution, but to help them. If they've never been introduced to it, how would they know whether or not it would help them? Right. And we talked about having that inner pharmacy, tapping into things that are natural, and having coping skills to stress. So perhaps people might not feel the need to go to unhealthy habits. Right. So that's where my course, Aroma Buds and Blossoms, that I created, online course for social workers and caring professionals, and to help them help them. And it's good for beginners as well. So if you all wanted to know about aromatherapy, you didn't know anything about it, it's helped you get started. And then from there, you can take it and run with it, because the information that's provided, you can utilize it to choose other essential oils. So, and that's my hope, to help you to utilize aromatherapy, not only for yourself, but to share with loved ones and clients or things like that, and do it safely. That's the key. I always talk about that on my channel. Do it safely. Do aromatherapy safely. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share that with you all.
Yeah, that's the most beautiful name, by the way.
Oh, you're so sweet. Yes. The idea behind it is, you might not know, you might be a little bud, but by the time you finish my course, you'll blossom into being a little bit more knowledgeable about using aromatherapy and bloom beyond that. Yeah.
That is so beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So next, anybody else want to share?
Yeah, I can go next.
Sure.
So yes, I have a community online, Free Black Women Entrepreneurs, online community where we share tips, resources, tools in the online business space, which I did link in the chat, and I'll put it up there in a second on the screen. But besides that, I will be co-hosting an upcoming summit with Dr. Kamani of Lifting As We Climb Consulting, May 18th and 19th, called the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women. So you can get on the wait list for that now before we release tickets. And I'll link that in the chat right now. But yeah, that's pretty much all I offer at this point. I am thinking of offering like coaching in the future, but kind of have to figure out the logistics of that. So yeah.
Awesome.
And she also has her book, Cocoon,
I forgot.
Affirmations for Transformation.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, I did write a book in this whole thing of recovering and healing from a toxic job. But Cocoon Affirmations for Transformation is available on Amazon too, if you'd like to purchase that in an ebook or physical format. Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
She's an author.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, Dani. Sometimes we forget,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, Dani, you have a book too. Natural ID, you have a book too.
I
Right?
do.
Yeah.
Actually, I created also online journals and a book for my audience, for the people that I serve. The online book is specifically for people in Michigan. So unfortunately, it might not apply to you. But if you know someone who's needing or on financial assistance, who may need help navigating the system. So that's one of the books I created. Also, this little girl is a book that was sort of downloaded to me, so to speak. I was driving along one day, and did you ever have those epiphanies where it's something like, where am I getting this from? And the idea for this little girl, and once I wrote it, and it's up under my pen name, I have to have a disclaimer for that, Deidre Bartley. But once I wrote it, I realized it was a book about me. And realizing that I'm enough. Yeah, this little girl and me and my 5 3/4 stature, because I'm short, y'all. This little girl is doing a thing. This little girl is enough. Yes, this little girl is doing that. So I wrote that book, and I have some online journals that I created. Yeah. So, thank you, Child Free with Mimi. I appreciate that. But that self-promotion piece, intimidation by self-promotion piece is real.
It's hard. It's so hard.
It's like, I'll do that. Okay, yes, I'll talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing that up, Marissa.
Absolutely. Yeah, Angela or Lauren. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I can go next.
Okay.
Oh, did you want to go
No.
next? Okay.
No, it's fine. I think I'm lagging a little bit, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So I'm an emotional well-being coach. I suppose a lot of people are like, well, what does that mean? It really is about helping people to really understand what's going on emotionally on the inside. And it doesn't have to be because, you know, something mammoth or terrible is happening. It might just be that you're not able to put the jigsaw puzzles of what's happened to you in your life together. And so certain things may just not be as you would like them to be. And so I offer coaching around how to understand your story. So in terms of your life story, and also to look at maybe the impacts of some of the traumas. Like we all want to run off into the sunset and think that, you know, what all the things that have happened to us, big and small, don't matter. But sometimes they do, and they can show themselves in our relationships, how we show up in the workplace, how we might show up as parents, how we might show up as friends, as colleagues, as neighbors, as community members. And so I just provide and create a space where people are able to explore and to talk about that stuff. So I do coaching for life story work for adults, and also looking at that trauma piece. And also, obviously, I'm a slow traveler and I've done a lot of travel. But one of the things that I've realized is that sometimes as Black women, we may, you know, hand in our resignations and, you know, with all the gusto. And then when we land where we want to land, we may not be emotionally prepared for what we find. Because what I think that happens is with time and space, all of those old things begin to go, hello, I'm still here. That 5-year-old or 6-year-old thing is still there. And when you give yourself time and space, that those things can be overwhelming. And you might be in a new place, a new country, you know, doing new things, learning a new language, but you may have this emotional stuff happening. So I work with particularly Black women around the emotional journey of what it might mean to take a sabbatical or to move abroad. And I help women to curate these kind of toolkits so that you're a bit more prepared about what might happen to you in these new spaces. And so you can follow me on Instagram at glow_up_my_life. I have a website, which I'm sure will be in the description box. And I have a YouTube channel at How to Glow Up My Life. And yeah, I'm here for coaching and sharing wisdom, but also walking with people as well. So that's me.
That is so unique.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Oh,
I can go.
okay.
So I have a website, lookintoyourlife.com, where you can find all the information you need for my coaching services and upcoming events. And I also have a wait list for group coaching that will be taking place in the spring. So you can go to my website and underneath events, you can sign up there. But also website, there is a registration form. And this group coaching will be for women who are stressed and burnt out and are looking to make a change in their life and not be stressed and burnt out anymore. So it'll be a 6-month-long program. And in that program, we'll focus on different themes each month. And you'll have homework to do to make sure you're holding yourself accountable. And then you'll also have a group of other women that are going through the same process. So you're not alone in making this transformation and going on this journey. But you can find information for that. Once you register, you'll be put on the wait list, and then, you know, more information will come out. And my socials are all the same, 5-Star Lore. I'm mostly active on Instagram. I have told myself that I will try to get back on YouTube, but unsuccessful at the moment. But Instagram is where you can find me most often, and that's where I'm active at.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I would like to offer my YouTube channel, teatime.beauty. It's my creative playground. I I'll do story times with Dani. I love reading books from women that I'm just inspired by. Recently, this past February, I did a story time series where I was reading from a story time book. And also, I eventually do want to offer just research, how to research. I know there's lots of people out there that are like, everyone needs to do their own research. But how do you know how to do that? And there's lots of topics that are really hard to search through that data. So, along with wellness and story times and fun, I also want to offer research tips. So, that's my YouTube channel, teatime.beauty. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
excited.
Yeah. Do we want to mention Courtney? I know she
Yeah,
had
I know.
to.
Yeah, Courtney had to drop off, but yeah, she has an amazing, amazing Instagram page, Social Worker to CEO, which I will link here in the chat. But this has been inspiring to me, right? As I was exiting a toxic job, seeing another social worker start her own business and label it like, no, I'm a CEO now.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's bold.
It-
So yes, all the flowers to Courtney for inspiring so many of us to take the leap into entrepreneurship. And y'all, please follow her Instagram page. It's amazing. Yes.
Yes. Oh, awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough, ladies, for being here, and those in the chat who's been with us and hung in here with us. And it's been truly inspiring for me to be in this space and in this energy with you and encouraging. And again, I thank you for answering the call to come together in sisterhood and just to share. You know, we never know who this information is going to help or inspire or encourage, right? We never know. So hopefully our audience, for those who watch the replay, hopefully you're inspired. If you know a social worker, give them a shout out this month. This is Social Work Month.
Yes.
It is Social Work Month.
Right.
In addition to International Women's Day, and I had on my community tab that one of the local artists, what's his name? Ludacris. He did a wonderful shout.
Oh yeah.
He did a wonderful shout out to social workers. I thought was so nice. You know, telling us to continue to do God's work. And I said, that was beautiful. That was beautiful because he played a social worker in some movie not too long ago, from my understanding. But yes, shout out a social worker. Celebrate, acknowledge, share with a social workers that you know, and just give them some love and some flowers, right? Because what we show up and do is truly out of passion, you know, and that we have, and we're utilizing our skills out here in the business world. And you know, I can say that we love what we do, right? If I can speak for you ladies, we love what we do and how we do it. So
Yes.
anything else, Marissa? Any closing?
No, that's it. I just want to thank y'all so much. This was uplifting for me, healing for me, just to be in this community. I realize that my experiences are not just mine. I'm connecting them to everyone else's, and just hopeful. I'm very hopeful going forward and inspired. So yeah, thank y'all. Thank y'all for being here, truly.
Thank you.
And thank you for everyone in the chat for sharing everything that you shared too, as well, as we learn from each other during these lives. So yeah.
You're welcome, Child Free, with Mimi and everyone else. Thank you for being here. You help fuel the conversation. So that's beautiful. We appreciate you.
We
Most
do.
definitely.
We do.
Thank you.
So that being said, we're going to end our night and say good night, all. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, rest of your weekend. And until next time, right? As I like to say, let us continue to learn, grow, and share together naturally. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Oh, good night.
Good night.
Thank you.